All right, guys, we're here with Bill Caswell. If you don't know who Bill Caswell is, you shouldn't even be watching this because you're not a real gearhead, you're not a petrol head, you're not a car guy, you're not a race guy. Just to refresh your memory, Bill Caswell is the guy who got himself a beat up $500 BMW 91 BMW 318 IS and actually fixed it up and ran a WRC event, WRC in Mexico. Bill, welcome to Oversteer TV.
Hey, thank you so much, Tony. Happy to be here, man.
Okay, first question I got to know. When you're sitting around and you first came up with the idea of running a $500 car in a World Rally Championship event, how much alcohol was being consumed at that time?
It all kind of happens in phases. And my friends used to make fun of me because we go out drinking and I bring a notebook with me, right? And they'd ask me why. And I'm like, some of the best ideas happen when you're sitting around with your buddies having way too many beers and someone has this ridiculous idea. Well, it usually gets forgotten. But if you can take that idea and then kind of make it practical and actually execute it, some of those ideas are by far some of the strangest things I've done. So yeah, I used to carry a notebook out drinking with my friends. We'd go grab dinner someplace, sit around a huge booth and drink beers for hours. Near the end of it, I'd start asking them, what would you guys do if someone gave you the opportunity to go run some bizarre race? What would you run? What kind of car? Where at? So there is some of that beer stuff, but the $500 car thing happened because I nearly destroyed my favorite race car. I had this E30 M3 that I've been building up over the years while working, and my friend Sam Smith was like, hey, why don't you enter this in this tarmac rally? And we went down to Raleigh, Tennessee, NASA Rally Sports tarmac rally, and on the second stage, I nearly destroyed the car. I lost control at like 90 miles an hour, and I thought we were turning left, and Sam kept yelling left to the mic, but my intercoms were cheap, and I couldn't hear what the hell he was saying, and there's so much gravel coming off the pavement. And what he was saying was there's a chicane. I need to enter on the left side. Because I told Sam, I'm fine with everything. But if someone shows me 30 orange barrels a half mile down the road, I'm not going to be able to tell which side to enter. So you just tell me on the notes what side to enter. And anyway, long story. Point is, I nearly destroyed this beautiful M3 with a Euro S50P32 making like 340 horsepower. Car's expensive. And I realized I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Like, I can drive at a track all day long, but it's like the same 14 corners. You just practice them over and over again. It's not that big of a deal. So when I nearly destroyed the car, Tony, sorry, man, this is the way it works. Long-winded answers. But when I destroyed that car, I came home and I said, this is stupid. I'm going to write off an E30 M3. BMW brought over like maybe 4,500 of them to the States. So I'm like, why don't I just go get a regular E30? Same chassis. I'll just fit all the same running gear and destroy that shell until I learn what I'm doing. And so that's where that started, and I just started looking through Craigslist for the cheapest BMW I could find, and the guy wanted $1,200 for it, and we showed up, and it had like 17-inch chrome wheels on it, and you couldn't drive any competitive event with these wheels. And I looked at the guy, and I'm like, man, the wheels. And he's like, yeah, they're like the most expensive part of the car. And I'm like, so if I brought my own wheels? He's like, $500. And I'm like, done. I went to the ATM, pulled out the max, withdrawal, handed him 500 cash, and took the car home. And that's how it started. It wasn't meant to be like, oh, I'm going to go race a $500 car, or I'm going to make a name for myself running a Craigslist car. I just needed something to learn in. And I built the cage like a tank. It wasn't meant to be a competitive car. It was meant to be like a practice vehicle, and I never totaled it. I expected the thing. We always brought the title with us. I always assumed I'd be pulling the safety gear out of it and like leaving it at the junkyard in whatever town I'm racing in and coming home with an empty trailer. But that never happened. I kept the thing on the road, and the thing's still around, and we've run WRC Mexico in it 3 times. It's been to the top of Pikes Peak. It's done some fun events.
Well, you say you've run WRC Mexico. You actually finished third in a WRC event in your class with a $500 car.
That is true. And people get, I guess, really upset about this whole thing, right? Because the original Jalopnik article was how I beat $500,000 rally cars or something like that. And what happened was I got down there, and my car's not FIA homologated. As a matter of fact, even if BMW had homologated it, my car wouldn't even come close to fitting that. I had motor swapped and parts all over the place. None of it was close to the original car. So it wouldn't have been legal anyway. And so they put me in the national Mexican class, which is all FIA homologated cars, like effectively like Group N Evos and Subarus and that kind of car. And then all the way down. I mean, there's some Peugeots and whatnot at the back of the field. But I ran with the national Mexican sort of FIA cars, and in that class I finished third against Evo 9s, Evo 10s, turbocharged cars, and I had my little 4-cylinder naturally aspirated BMW. So yeah, and then the other thing too is had we added up all of our times, even with all the penalties for Super Rally, because of all the stuff that broke, we still wouldn't have been last had we actually been in the WRC. I think it was like 2 cars would have finished with more time than us. Had we been classified somewhere in the proper WRC classes. So third in class in Mexico and, not last in the WRC.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the Jalopnik article. I recommend everybody out there just Google Bill Caswell. It's the first thing that pops up. Read the article. I'm not going to go blow by blow everything that happened there. Just read the article. The article's great. The funny thing, the interesting thing, the amazing thing is after this is all done, I'm first of all, wow, the guy did that. You got a movie deal out of the whole thing.
Yeah, I did. I mean, it's pretty unusual. It's not just the race in Mexico. I think what they're drawn to, what Hollywood was drawn to, was the financial crisis hitting. My industry getting wiped out. Me proposing to my girlfriend and asking for a year to do everything that I never did in life. Part of this adventure was living at the base of Vail for 2 months and skiing every day before going to snowdrift in between the fall rallies and the winter rallies. And so it was really more the larger adventure about running around the United States with my friends, jumping rally cars through the woods. And then when she was like, look, it's time to come back to work, I asked for one last race. And the largest race I could find in North America that I could actually tow to was WRC Mexico. So I loaded the trailer and went. And it's more just that story of what you do with your life when it gets shooken up. And I think that's more the mass appeal. To guys like you and I, yeah, it's the first non-FIA homologated car, first amateur, first rear-wheel drive in like a WRC event in decades, I think. I mean, I know guys in Europe are running rear-wheel drive all over the place, but I'm not sure exactly how they fit into the WRC stages. So.
What also really amused me is after the whole story came out, the article, and then the news about you getting a movie deal, the hate that some of these people online spewed in your direction. It was funny. It's like, how can you get mad? It was just pure jealousy. That was it.
Yeah, it's not just jealousy. It's frustration, right? It's think about how hard. First of all, think about how passionate motorsports is, right? We're so passionate about this sport. We all try really, really hard. There's thousands of us doing this, and everyone's trying to get noticed. Everyone's trying to get sponsors. Everyone's trying to get their story out there, right? And then for them to read mine and say, a lot of people see parts of themselves in my story. They say, oh man, I did that, or that's not epic. You should have seen this one race we did one. And I get that, man. That's the whole point. It's not like this is a one-of-a-kind story. It's just maybe it was told a little bit better and it was set in the right setting and it all kind of happened at the right time. But yeah, even my really good friends, man, some of their racing stories are amazing. They're like mine, if not better. My friend looks at me and goes, God damn it, man. If the internet was around when I was racing, I'd have a movie too. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. And so some of it's timing, and yeah, the haters are kind of funny, and some of them are guys who've never done anything with their lives. They're observers of life. They're on the internet watching other people live their lives and just criticizing and hating. And those guys I don't pay any attention to. It's the ones that are frustrated that I feel bad for. The ones who are not feel bad for, but that I have compassion for, right? I was doing the same thing for the last 10, 15 years, trying to race, trying to find sponsors, trying to do it. And it's tough, man. It's really, really hard, especially
very hard. I know.
Especially when you look at the lack of support programs by corporate America. You know what I mean? There's not a structure for a guy who wants to be a car racer. There is, if you want to play football professionally, man, you've got plenty of opportunities to do that. Start in grade school, high school, college. I mean, you just move right through it. If you're good, you'll probably make a team. That's not really the case in car racing. I got guys who are friends of mine who are so fast that a team, they could race for them in a heartbeat. Their lap times are easily as quick. But they just didn't run through the funnel to get there, and it's frustrating. So you can see how guys would hate. Sorry, Tony.
No. Well,
this, man.
I was just going to point out that, like, I talk to a lot of young kids. Some of them are really good, and they're moving up there, and they're talking about they want to study engineering in school to help in their racing career. And I go, no, study marketing.
Study marketing.
That'll get you into motorsports quicker than any engineering degree. That's for sure.
The nice thing about engineering, though, is that they can stay in motorsports and still play with the car so they don't become a driver. You know what I mean? Like, I
Exactly.
don't have that luxury. If you see my cars, see a race team hiring me to fabricate their sports cars, like, no way, it's not going to happen.
Well, you
But I mean, I guess I could do marketing for them. You know, I'm actually helping people. No, I mean, I'm helping some people here and there with their companies and their projects and their stuff because it's fun. I like doing it. It gets me involved in meetings I wouldn't be a part of otherwise. But still, it's the cars and the engines and building them and going to the race that's fun. And really, only the engineers and the drivers get to do that. You know.
exactly, exactly. All right, you did the Mexico thing a bunch of times. You've done other stuff. You've done Baja. You've done Pikes Peak now. You're going back to Pikes Peak. That's the
I
next.
got to
That's the month.
Mexico, and I was like, what do I do now, man? I've got
Yeah.
this $500 car, and the story gets published, and I go out to Hollywood, and they want to buy my life story into a movie, and I'm looking, I'm like, man, I should keep racing. I should see how many of these large races I can jam my little $500 car into. So I showed up at Pikes Peak, and then the meetings with Miller, and that turned into that Baja 1000 E30 creation, which was pretty cool. And I think you're asking, like, what am I going to do now? Is that where you're headed with this?
Yeah. What's next on the horizon?
Tony, I don't know, man. You tell me. Like, if you or your viewers know what I should do next, send me an email, man. Find me on Facebook. Like, send me some suggestions. And look, I'm not lost. I know what I'm doing, right? I did this a while ago, and I got emails like, you should call BMW and ask for a race car. It's like, you think I haven't done that? So there's a lot of things that I've tried. I'm running 24 Hours of Lemons at Buttonwillow at the end of the month with POS Racing. They're my good friends here in San Diego. I raced with them twice. I think it was last year. We won both Lemons races overall with like fields of 185 cars, which is kind of cool.
They should make you Grand Marshal of the Lemons. I'm sorry.
Jay Lamb is a friend of mine, and I like hanging out with him, but I don't need to be the Grand Marshal of Lemons. Lemons is exactly what I was talking about. There are 1,000 guys just like me taking crappy cars and making them fun to drive and having the time of their life with it. They're out there racing, they're wrenching, and sure, the cars are slow and they're pieces of shit, but it doesn't really make a difference. Like, once you're strapped into a seat, I don't care what it is you're racing a vehicle. I mean, like, think of when you were a kid, man. Some of my best races were on, like, big wheels and green machines. I don't think so. And Lemons for me is the same way. It's a car. I'm racing. I've got 180 other cars on track at the same time. Like, sure, it's a different style of racing, but I like it. I mean, when you get down to it, there's probably like 30 or 40 cars actually competing for the overall win, and the rest are just traffic. They're just back markers. They're
having fun, right?
Yeah, it's great. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun. And then that ends on Sunday, and I've got 48 hours to get to Tech at Pikes Peak on Tuesday in Colorado Springs. So then I run Pikes Peak that week, and then I've got a 2-month break till Targa, Newfoundland, and I'm running that with VR Performance out of Michigan with Horst Reinhardt. And they're actually coming to Pikes Peak. Anyway, I'm rambling. But so it's 24 Hours of Lemons at Buttonwillow. It's Pikes Peak Hill Climb. It's Targa, Newfoundland in an E46 M3. And then whatever else I can fill in the middle, man.
Well, we got to find some stuff for you. So, guys, you listening out there, go to Facebook, just Bill Caswell. You can get in contact with him there. Throw him some ideas. If I was in San Diego, I'd bring a case of beer, sit down, and just like start barnstorming some ideas there.
You're always welcome to, man. A friend of mine drove down. He's from Florida. He drove out here for a wedding, and he was in L.A., and he found me on Facebook, and he's like, hey, I got a down day, man. Can I come hang in the garage and just help you work on stuff? I was like, yeah, sure, come on down. But yeah, no, it's one of the things I really, really want to do next is dirt circle track, right? My friends hate circle track, Tony. They make fun of me so much. I did this little mini cup race. They're like go-karts, but with a NASCAR body, and you lie down.
Right.
A little, like, 24 horsepower Subaru motor in the back. We did it on like a 2/3 mile oval, and things have like, I don't know, 7-inch wide Hoosier slicks. Maybe they're even wider than that, but there was a lot of rubber for like a little 800-pound car. And we're doing like 80, 85 miles an hour around this oval. Damn thing was fun, man. Right when you're done with the corner, the next one starts. So I'm thinking if I could do that, but on dirt with a whole bunch of sideways, that sounds like fun. So my next adventure, I'm trying to, I'd like to go down to the south and run some dirt circle track stuff under the lights on a Saturday night. That sounds like fun to me.
Well, there are a lot of places. I know a few places in Florida. If you want to know, let me know. We'll set that up. And just remember, it's a 91 BMW. You're probably qualified for historic racing now.
Yes, I actually saw that somewhere. It's coming up, man. It's like 25 years or something like that.
Yeah, you're a couple years away, and you can do Monterey Historics. You can do Goodwood. That'd be great. They fly you out to England for Goodwood.
Yeah, wouldn't that be hysterical? I mean, last year I was flown over with Ken Block to cover him. A couple years from now, someone actually comes over to cover me. What a riot that would be. I can promise you, if I go to Goodwood, it won't be as professional as Ken Block went.
No. But you'll probably get more cheers.
Oh, I don't know about that, man. You should see the guy. I didn't even realize he was going to do donuts in some of these sections. We're ripping it at like 60 miles an hour, and Ken just grabs the handbrake. And I'm like, really? We just start rotating into the. It was fun, man. I had a good time. But yeah, Goodwood would be cool. The car's historic. You're right. I need to stop racing that thing. I mean, the car's now. It's now going to be like a movie car, featured in a movie, all that kind of stuff. So I'm actually a little nervous about stuffing it. You should have seen how slow we drove Rally Mexico this year. I mean, it was painful. I did not want to put the car off the mountain. So every entry we braked early. We just checked up. We measured all of our speeds. The irony is we actually finished second, came home with a trophy as a result. Turns out you drive slow and the car doesn't come apart. You drive fast, some of the times look good, but the rest look like hell because the car's broke.
Oh, right. Well, it's the old racing cliche. To finish first, you got to first finish. That's what you were doing, especially in rally. All right, Bill, I want to thanks a lot. Oversteer TV. It was a great interview. It'll be on tonight if I can get all the little bells and whistles done quickly. And again, guys out there, if you're watching, listening, find him on Facebook, man.
Facebook. My website's CaswellMotorsport.com. Find me on Facebook and come along on the adventures, man.
Yeah, do it. And we'll get you down in Florida here and do some dirt track racing.
I would love that. Seriously, if you know someone with a car, man, call me. I'll come down 2 weeks. I can be there in 2 weeks.
Let me make a few calls. I'll get back to you.
All right, cool, Tony. Thanks, man.
No, thank you.
I mean,